كبير. في شمس عندك، تفضل. معلش هنا مراتك ربع ساعة، ما بنشوفك إلا النهار. هو الصباح طلعت لها تاخذ البنطلون.
see the cones right there. He crosses over and again starts picking up speed. Just incredible.
Incredible. I mean, picking up speed and then continues to speed into that area where he's not supposed to be, where the traffic, into that area where he's not supposed to be, where the traffic. Skycal, he's still going really fast, Desmond. Have you?
You can see the cones right there. He crosses over and again starts picking up speed. Just
Skycal, he's still going really fast, Desmond. Have you heard any talk about officers possibly pulling off?
Yeah, it sounds like at least for the time being, they have the ground units pulled off and they're just tracking this from the helicopter. I mean, it is just so insanely dangerous with the suspect. Wrong side of the road right now.
Whoa.
Fortunately, you know, very light traffic right now. I mean, we are on Rosemead. This is normally an extremely busy street, but now the 10 o'clock hour, not too bad. But look through this red light. Let's see what they're going to. Pico Rivera area right now, continuing northbound on Rosemead. I mean, you really hate to see a suspect, you know, getting away after that kind of insane driving, but at least for now, the authorities backing off on the ground. They're attempting to track this from the helicopter.
Yeah.
But, you know, look, there's no one behind the suspect, and they just continue to drive, you know, crazy, 80, 90 miles an hour here on these surface streets. So far anyway, you know, backing off is not getting the suspect to cool his jets.
Yeah, thank goodness no one was hurt here. He's hitting some heavier traffic here, a red light, but you know that's not going to stop him. He's going to go and blow right through that. Mike, any word on the desk there, whether there's just one person in this truck? What do we know?
So yeah, we know that they don't know, Juan. So basically, we were listening earlier. CHP had asked before they took it over, what do we know about the driver? Do they know anything about the suspect? Is, you know, because sometimes cars are stolen and it's a known suspect, and sometimes it's totally random. Gosh, these speeds are so fast.
Whoa, whoa, whoa!
Jeez.
And that's the thing. Look, this is such a high-profile truck. He's not going to be able to take those turns like that. He almost lost control there. But to answer your question, Juan, no, they don't know anything about the driver. CHP had specifically asked that because they wanted to know if this was something that they could catch up with the guy later, or what they know about the driver. And LAPD said we know nothing about the driver or the suspect here. So we don't know how many people are in the car. We've not heard any definitive number more than one. But we also know that the law enforcement does not know anything about the person behind the wheel.
Right, so ground units are definitely laying low for the time being. Is that right?
Absolutely, especially since we are not on the freeway. You know, CHP this is a big risk. You know, this is when we talk risk versus reward and why law enforcement chases and when they decide to give it up. This is one of those scenarios. Yes, this is a stolen vehicle. Yes, this person is running from law enforcement, but he's running from law enforcement at such a great speed and great risk to the public. The CHP, especially in that construction zone, has decided to back off a little bit and let the helicopter track it from the air.
I mean, they can do only so much when this person is going this fast, Mike. And we talk about stopping methods. You know, we talk about maybe spike strips, but they'd have to be set up way ahead of time and know where this person is going to be able to set that up.
Right.
We talk about, you know, the high center of gravity of this truck. So therefore, you know, doing a pit maneuver would be really dangerous. This, you know, truck could flip over if they do that. So, you know, not a lot of options left for law enforcement when they think about, like Mike was saying, really balancing the safety versus reward here. You know, to stop this person, but also with the, you know, safety of the public in mind. But as this person is just speeding through these neighborhoods still with no one behind this person except for the helicopter who's above, that's above chasing this person. But Mike, is this an actual tracking by the CHP then? What's happening?
Well, so yeah, I mean, technically, yes, you've got the LAPD helicopter that's been overhead tracking it. We're still listening to them. We're still listening to them call it out on the CHP frequency. So I'm just listening to some of the radio traffic now. So yeah, they're still aware of it. The problem is, yeah, we're all right, over the median.
Over the center divider.
Oh my goodness.
And back northbound. Yeah, I mean, this truck is definitely capable of that. It's, you know, not too big of a deal for this big lifted truck. They definitely specialize in, you know, off-road kind of situations, but so for whatever reason decided to turn back around Rosemead now and here northbound. We're going to be kind of in the Whittier Narrows area right now. We're not too far away from that. It's, you know, extremely dark out here. We've definitely seen some suspects get out and you know, bail from the vehicle thinking that they can elude the helicopter with the darkness and, you know, some of the foliage here in the in the Whittier Narrows area. Let's see if that's what the suspect is thinking. I mean, we're so far away from where this first began.
Yeah.
It just seems pretty aimless at this point, but speeds still consistently very high here.
I just wonder, where this person is going, right? We often see these people go to familiar neighborhoods where they're more comfortable driving, especially at speeds like this, in familiar area, they might be able to maneuver a bit better, but we don't know if this person knows this area, and that's why they're here. Perhaps they're just trying to get away as fast as they can, wherever they can.
And you can see how different the situation is here. The road, Susie, a little darker, right? We don't see a well-lit road here. It's a little more desolate here, not a lot of traffic. So dangerous, especially if someone who is going at very high rates of speed. I mean, is this still pretty accurate, Mike, when you're looking at the speedometer there from SkyCal? I mean, yeah, it's kind of bouncing around, but still, that truck is still going really fast.
It is still going really fast. We're offset a little bit from where the car is, and so that always throws our speedometer off. But I can tell when I'm looking at the police helicopter that is still overhead, they are at still about those speeds. So we may be dealing with some airspace issues that Desmond's working on right now, but yeah, I mean, we are still going very, very quick right now as this kind of pushes through. And we talked about the pit maneuvers and the potential of, like, would they do a pit maneuver on this? It's dangerous. Yes, it's dangerous, but also, we saw, this is several years ago, but if you remember, DJ Marshmallow had his truck stolen.
Oh, that's
it was
right.
much bigger than this. It was a much more lifted truck. But I remember a little Crown Victoria from the Sheriff's Department tried and just basically bounced off the tires. It really didn't even have much of an effect. So I don't know that that would be the case in this scenario, because this truck certainly is not nearly as large as the other one was. But
and the lights are out now.
It's still, it's blacked out, Des, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, Desmond's noticing the lights are off.
Yeah, the lights. Yeah, the lights are out, and and it's a black truck, and it's going really fast here. And we're just having some issues here because we're kind of compressed with the clouds, and so now we have to kind of give a little bit of horizontal room to the law enforcement ships here that are trying to follow this. They're down pretty low as they make, it looks like, an eastbound turn here onto Garvey. So that's why our shot was getting a little farther away. We're going to see if we can try to catch back up here if the weather will improve. But so out on Garvey Avenue here, another kind of major street. We're through the Whittier Narrows area and kind of in the vicinity of Montebello, I believe. But yeah, I mean, now we've got the lights out as well. In addition to all this, I mean, the speeds, let's see if we can get the speedometer back. It looks like, well, yeah, the speeds of, I mean, look at this. He's going right through a red light with no lights on in a black truck. I mean, just so terrifying for people out here, even though the speeds have slowed down a little bit, but still, way too fast for surface street.
It makes me wonder if he, finally realized that there's no one behind him. The units on the ground have not been with this person for a very long time. We picked it up. We first heard about it just at the top of the hour at 10 o'clock, and by the time we got to it, they were already, like we were talking about, in the San Gabriel Valley. This started in the San Fernando Valley, and they had been driving so fast, it was hard for us to even get to it.
Yeah.
And they just continued to drive like this, lights off. You can see their brake lights ever so often, but they have been driving so recklessly, even on the surface streets, Juan.
Yeah, it's incredible. We only get a chance to see him when he does tap his brakes, and you can see where he's going. Still, the lights are off at this time. And I'm guessing, Mike, he's thinking perhaps this would deter law enforcement from above. Maybe they might not see him, just like we're having a tough time seeing him.
Yeah, look, I mean, he's in a black truck. It's nighttime, and if he turns his lights off, maybe he thinks that's going to be a little bit more difficult for them to spot him as we just continue to fly down these streets, which brings up, we're getting a lot of text to the desk on this one. I want to show you something that a viewer commented on that they just texted us. This is Dustin, who actually is watching us from Wichita, Kansas. So CHP needs to get back on. This guy is clearly not slowing down. They need to put an end to this before he kills someone. And that is the risk versus reward that law enforcement has to decide on every single time we have one of these chases. And at this point, CHP believed it was more dangerous for them to chase him, especially going through the construction zone there, than it was to just kind of let him be. But, to his point, clearly, that isn't working either. This guy is still driving the way he's driving, but CHP has decided that that's not the risk they want to take. They don't want to agitate him even more, especially when
Mike was saying that there could be some cloud issues.
Him from the desk. There's a number on the screen, 818-221-2222.
Yeah, it's not so low that we...
Questions or comments on this chase, we're happy to try to answer them to the best that we can as we continue to watch this guy. And again, we're dealing with some cloud issues here as well. So that's why our shot's a little further off. But look, it is dark down there. You've got some street lights, you guys, but he's blacked out, and you know, cars coming up from behind him probably aren't even seeing him until it's right there.
And you kind of wonder, Mike, since this started right around the 5 and the 170, now he's here all the way in the San Gabriel Valley, quite a distance away. Like, you know, where was his truck stolen from?
Move about 50 miles an hour or so. Here for this person trying to do a 3-point.
Us away from the 210 freeway, and yeah, what is
Tyler
the
and
play
Arrowwood
for
Street here
the suspect right here? There hasn't been anyone. He must realize that.
We're leaving Almonte.
That's what's code 37 is stolen.
Again,
so that's why they originally started chasing it. So we don't have any of the details about what did the plate come back to, what's the car it's supposed to be on, what was the plate reported stolen, or what's the scenario here. But that's why they don't know much about the driver, is because this wasn't a typical scenario where the plate matches the truck and you have somebody that reported it stolen. Usually if you have a reported stolen, you can go pull that report and figure out the circumstances of how it was taken, when it was taken, where it was taken, all of those things. But because this is a cold plate and because the plate just doesn't match the truck, they don't really have a lot of information about when that swap happened, who may have swapped it, and all of those details that you might get when you have a more traditional type of stolen vehicle report. So go ahead, sorry.
So do we know, Mike, if it was a gang unit actually chasing this person initially and then they found out this car is stolen? Or
that was the reason they chased it. So the lieutenant tells me that the George units, the gang units, ran the plate. The plate came back cold, not to the right vehicle, and then the George units are the ones that started the pursuit and initiated after that.
Interesting. So we don't know where this truck originates from, if it's a dealer truck or stolen from somebody's front yard.
Yeah.
They clearly switched out the plates to go undercover.
And once this is all said and done, the way that they'll have to figure out that is they'll have to run the VIN number. So once, you know, if this ends, or, you know, if it ends in time for law enforcement to get here, or the truck gets abandoned or what have you, that's when they'll be able to run the VIN number and figure out kind of the background of this truck and where it was taken from, and did anybody actually report it stolen, or is it just the plate situation, or what have you.
Des, it's so dark down there. Are you still in a neighborhood?
Yeah, I mean, we was on Duarte Road here, now California Street. We're kind of paralleling the 210 freeway here just to the south. Yeah, I mean, just continuing through these neighborhoods, we saw some wrong way driving there for a second as well, and the lights are still off. I mean, it's got to be difficult for the suspect to continue this up as well here as we go underneath the Gold Line tracks. Just going right through, we've gone through so many different red lights at very high speeds, barely slowing down at any juncture here as we're making our way into the Monrovia area. And again, we're dealing with those clouds and law enforcement space here, so doing our best to try to keep up with this. It looks like they just made a southbound turn here as down to, this is the slowest I think that we've seen the suspect going right now. But again, just so far away from where this originated, and wondering how much longer this can go on. Obviously, this is a gas-sucking vehicle as well. A big Ford Raptor here, definitely not an economy car. So we hope that the gas tank was already on the lower end, and then with the way that they've been driving it as well, they're definitely burning through that gasoline pretty fast. So that's maybe the only hope for this ending. But these vehicles also have a very high capacity. So if the tank was topped off, then he's still got plenty of gas. Making a stop, looks like he's making another turn here onto Monterey Avenue. So just aimless driving, headlights off, a big tank of a truck here. So much danger, just random maneuvers. Law enforcement still doing an amazing job with their spotlight, keeping up with this, but still no units on the ground on this one.
Desmond, the size of this truck, would you know if this is a V8? Is this something like you're saying, is it a gas guzzler? I'm guessing it might be, right?
Yeah, definitely. And this is a Raptor, which is like the higher performance vehicle as well. I mean, the suspect really clearly has no idea what they want to do here, making U-turns all over the place again, or if they're thinking that they can ditch the helicopter with this, but it hasn't worked so far. So yeah, I'm not much of a pickup truck person, but I'm pretty sure Raptor is like the top end of the lineup for the F-150. So I'm not sure if it's turbocharged or supercharged, but pretty quick even for a big tank of a pickup truck. They are surprisingly nimble. And I mean, you saw how quickly that vehicle is accelerating to up over 100 miles an hour. But it's just awful seeing this 60 miles an hour. We're back in residential zones. You see the crosswalks. These are narrow streets, no lights on. The only saving grace here with the police helicopter having their spotlight on, hopefully illuminating the danger to anyone who just might be out here. One wrong move by a pedestrian or something, and it's going to be a really bad ending.
Yeah, it makes you wonder if this person is staying on surface streets and no longer on the freeways so that he or she can hide from the police, from law enforcement officials, because of the fact that there are so many dark areas, right, on these surface streets in these neighborhoods. And on the freeways, you often get that, the spot right on you, the light right on you from law enforcement officials. So maybe that's their plan right now, to just, drive around in circles aimlessly in this neighborhood in the San Gabriel Valley until the law enforcement says, oh, we'll give it up too.
And what's scary here, Susie, is just he's in the neighborhood here, dark streets. He's blowing through stop signs one after the other. So dangerous for anybody who may cross his path here. Here he comes to a quick stop there before making a left-hand turn. And again, slowing down. Could he have hit oh no, he's making another turn, Mike.
Yeah, he is. And I'm looking, I'm just texting back and forth with a couple of our viewers here. So we've gotten a lot of texts to the desk, but basically one person wants us to know that this is a high-performance Ford Raptor, and it will handle as best as you drive it, right? It is that kind of thing. I also got a text from Bernie, who lives in San Gabriel, and said that when that car stopped, remember Desmond thought somebody got out? Bernie says they did see somebody get out, that they were wearing a white shirt. The driver, the door on the truck opened, someone jumped out and took off. Now, she says she lives in, or Bernie, I'm not sure if that's a he or she, but lives in that area and witnessed that happening. So lots of people saying somebody else said they saw it and he was going really fast. Lots of questions about asking, spike strips, things like that. All of those, spike strips could be a possibility, but somebody's got to chase him in order for them to do that. And right now, that's not happening.
So it wasn't so random, Mike, that he came into this neighborhood and hit a cul-de-sac if he dropped somebody off.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it. He spent kind of a bit of time in that area, and maybe whoever that person is lives nearby or knows somebody in that area that kind of wanted to have that, safe spot and get out. So we didn't hear any mention of it at the LAPD helicopter. It's unclear if they sent units back to try to figure out who that person was, but obviously LAPD is kind of sticking with the truck here as we are, working our way further eastbound.
Yeah, and not really leaving this area, not leaving this neighborhood, not leaving on the freeway, as we saw at the beginning of this pursuit. As we mentioned, this was around the 170, the 5 freeway in the San Fernando Valley where we picked it up. And, they drove down quite a ways, and we've been wondering if this person is going to run out of gas at any point after driving so far. But looks like they keep going. Again, speeds lower than before. When we were first on this, on surface streets, we were talking about 70 miles per hour sometimes on surface streets, just blasting through red lights on the wrong side of the road. So many close calls with cars. And now just sort of driving aimlessly, but maybe with some aim. Who knows? Maybe they know this neighborhood very well, as we saw them perhaps drop someone off earlier, someone getting out of this car. We're not sure, but a viewer had mentioned that they had seen that. So.
And Susie, we saw triple-digit speeds on the freeways, right? Blowing right through a cone zone. Didn't bother him, didn't slow him down at all. There was some workers out there working on the freeway tonight when this driver in a stolen truck plowed right through, looked so dangerous. And again, even when he hit surface streets, speeds didn't vary too much. It was still going at high rates of speed that, in fact, officers on the ground had to pull back.
Let's go back upstairs now to Desmond Shaw live in SkyCal. Desmond, what are we looking at here?
Triple-digit speeds on the freeways, right? Blowing
well, this trying to catch up with the suspect here is we're pretty close to the Bradbury neighborhood, arguably the nicest neighborhood of the San Gabriel Valley. Lots of equestrian properties up in here. But again, just kind of aimless driving. We saw him stop and then throw it into reverse. And now kind of maybe, I don't know if they're lost in this neighborhood off of Royal Oaks Drive. That's definitely in the Bradbury neighborhood. Speeds are, fortunately pretty slow, but not all of these streets are going to go through, kind of like those cul-de-sacs that they were just in Arcadia. So still not sure what they're thinking. I mean, frankly, they've had a lot of different opportunities where they probably could have gotten out and run and, I mean, they with just the helicopter overhead. But they have decided not to do that and just to, continue with this. Here we go again. You see even the helicopter's having some trouble. And look, he gets up to the neighborhood and then just turns back around. I think he hit another cul-de-sac right here. Yeah, Braywood Drive. So this suspect is running into a lot of dead ends, and there's definitely going to be here as we're kind of up against, the foothills of the San Gabriel Mountains. So aimless driving continues here. We've got a lot of trees that we're trying to see under and dealing with clouds as well as trying to give law enforcement some space. It's definitely getting tough to keep up with the suspect, but they're also just okay. Give me 1 second here. Yep. You see, just as we're looking from like a half mile or so away,
Royal Oaks and Buena
they
Vista
continue,
areas,
and here we are. But gosh, the lights off, and speeds are really, really low now at this point, and that may just be too because the suspect doesn't have their lights on, and it's so dark out here that they can't see where they're going. So it's really a miracle that this person hasn't crashed already. We had that super close call in the construction zone that was absolutely insane, and still just winding their way around the Bradbury neighborhood. I think he just go through a fence. I think he just went through a fence right there.
On property?
It looked like, or well, I couldn't tell actually. I saw a fence post there, but yeah, he's going up kind of an alley, and I mean, where's this going to go? We'll see where this spits him out if it does.
Are there any flood control areas up there, you think, maybe, that that fencing could have been blocking off, or an area where water kind of congregates when it rains?
It's just so dark out there. It's so hard to tell. But on the right side of your screen, Desmond was just referring to this when it was so scary. We were holding our breath as this person was driving so fast on the freeway, first on the left-hand side there, and then in the construction zone as those lanes narrow, there they go, right into that area where they're not supposed to go into, and so close to people who are working there on the freeway. Boy, oh boy, and look at that right there.
And we often say, slow for the cone zone, slow down for the cone zone. It's a big deal when you see these workers out there on the freeways. They work late at night, obviously, to create as less an impact on traffic, but it's still dark out there. It's still dangerous, and we saw what could possibly happen tonight during this high-speed pursuit of a stolen truck that seems to be going nonstop now, a little aimlessly there in the San Gabriel Valley. We're still in, San Gabriel Valley, Upper San Gabriel Valley off mountain.
Yeah, we're just showing you some of those many close calls that we saw tonight during the course of this pursuit. The driver running red lights, driving without their lights on around other cars, speeding around other cars on the wrong side of the road several times. And now, as you mentioned, Juan, they've been driving in the same neighborhood in the San Gabriel Valley. We believe that they may have dropped someone off in a neighborhood. A viewer alerted us to that. They believe that that's what they witnessed. It's unclear right now, not confirmed, but we do know that this person is staying in this area for whatever reason, and oftentimes what we do see is this kind of driving because they are familiar with this area. It's their neighborhood. They know the ins and outs, the alleyways, the smaller streets where, they can possibly hide or, evade police. And we've been seeing the same type of driving for a long time now.
That's right. And earlier it was gang units who apparently realized that they had run the plate, and as Mike was telling us, it came back as cold-plated, which means that the plate that was on that truck did not belong to the truck that it was on. It didn't match what it should be. So who knows how long this truck has been reported stolen from, where it was taken from, whether it was taken off a dealership or perhaps a private home or from an individual. We don't know this. But apparently this driver has had the truck long enough to switch out the license plates to hopefully, fool people into thinking it's not a stolen truck.
And sometimes guys too, and again, we just don't know the circumstances of this guy as we're kind of deep in the foothills of Monrovia now. But when you deal with larger kind of criminal elements, that's not an uncommon practice, is to just have license plates around that you can swap and put on a car and throw everybody off, and and that means that they don't know who actually is in that car. Which brings us a question I want to show Kelly, if you can. Eden sent us a text to the desk here and asked a question about potential tactics and what they could do later. I think there we go. It says, are they wanting to arrest him another day if he gets away? That's usually a pretty good option for law enforcement. The problem here is they don't know who the guy is, right? And that's what we were kind of talking about earlier, is if this was a more traditional stolen report, if this was a suspect that was known to the victim or they had any information about who the suspect was, certainly they would try maybe to go get him another day. But because they don't know that, and they can't go back after him another day. And it looks like he may have gone up on a cul-de-sac, and another one here, Granite and Hillcrest, which I know Des is trying to get eyes on. But the LAPD airship now moving back westbound Hillcrest near Canyon Boulevard. So, it's very dark up there. We're dealing with the clouds. There's a lot of airspace issues. It's crowded. There's the truck. He's blacked out in a black truck in a dark neighborhood. And it is problematic for us to see it. The LAPD airship is doing a great job of keeping eyes on it, but it's tough. I did hear them ask, like, can we get Monrovia PD kind of in the area? I think that they're hoping that this guy is eventually going to just kind of give it up, and then they want those officers to be in the area. It's interesting because usually when we see people go in the neighborhoods, they're looking for an opportunity to bail. This guy has been very, very deep in these neighborhoods for a long time. And you would think that they would, attempt to use that opportunity to get out and run, and they just haven't, which is kind of interesting, and it makes you wonder. Obviously, we never know what these people are thinking.
Yeah, or are they familiar with this area? Are they, in fact? Maybe they're not.
And that's what we, sorry, I'm just listening to the radio. At first, they got into the kind of the Bradbury area, and then maybe they know that area, but now they're further west, and they're in Monrovia, and so you kind of think, like, how many neighborhoods do they actually know that they can be trying to do this? And again, as we're kind of up there, but it's weird, they keep trying to go north, and so now they're up at Melrose Avenue and West Scenic Drive. I mean, they are right against the base of the mountain.
So Mike, unless it's dumb luck, this guy must know that the streets here are pretty dark, as we're seeing here. Other than maybe a few street lights, some landscape lighting, you really don't see much lighting down here.
Yeah, you don't see much lighting at all, and it's weird because he keeps, like, it almost feels like he's intentionally pulling into these cul-de-sacs, but it's very strange because he's up near that West Scenic and Alta Vista Avenue. It looks like he may be trying to go kind of, and I'm just basing this on what I see from the police helicopter, up Alta Vista Avenue, which will take him deep into, the foothills of Monrovia, and it's actually a pretty windy road. That will lend him, so Alta Vista Avenue there, Des. and then it goes kind of up into the mountains a little bit.
Is that him right there?
That's the taillights of the truck.
Wow.
So you'll see, and Des, if you want to actually pull that back up, we can kind of show people where that leads and that road that, you know, kind of winds its way around and up into the corner there. So we're really stretching the limits of the city here, if you will, as we kind of really push our way up against the mountains.
Yeah, look, if he goes on Patrician Way, it kind of dead ends there.
See what Des is looking at? That's the kind of topography of the area that they're dealing with, which, you know, eventually LAPD is not going to be wanting to be flying that close to the mountain. They're going to have some issues with that.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe him driving so close to the foothills has been him looking for an opportunity to get into the mountain and, you know, maybe ditch it there.
You know, another big question we have tonight, Mike, is, you know, the fact that this is a stolen truck pursuit, the want.
Yeah.
But we don't know what else this person might be running from.
Right. And that's
what else they did.
And that's part of the idea, right? If they don't know who the person is, they don't know who the truck belongs to, they don't know any of that. I mean, is the truck actually stolen, or has it been used in a ton of crimes and they don't want the license plate attached to it? Because you remember, if this was not that stealing a truck isn't a serious crime or a cold plate, but if the license plate came back and it was an assault with a deadly weapon or, you know, a violent crime, you likely would not have had law enforcement break off the way they have, and they may be chasing it harder. Maybe that was the thought process here, is if I don't have the plate on it, they don't really know what I've done with this truck,
right,
and, you know, et cetera, and who knows? I mean, maybe that's giving the guy too much credit, but, you know, we're eastbound Alta Vista Avenue now, coming up on Myrtle Avenue, way up in the foothills of Monrovia, and actually we'll be passing one of the reservoirs, the catch basins that we talk about so frequently during flood coverage.
And do you think, Mike, that's what, when he broke down that fence, I was thinking maybe it was a catch basin he kind of like made his way into, or?
It was hard to tell. It looked like an alley also. I mean, now he's up at Oak Grove and Alta Vista, so, you know, we're well up into the foothills here, so Des is probably gonna have a decently difficult time being able to find him. I think he's just a little bit further east, Des. We're going up into that neighborhood, Briar Cliff Road. Yeah, so we're way up there right now.
So, Mike, when you're hearing police radio right now, are there officers either on the ground or the air? Are they calling street by street?
Yeah,
where this truck is going? How does that work?
Yeah, the police helicopter is calling it street by street. There you see it in Desmond Shot, and they're relaying it to the dispatchers. The dispatchers are basically just kind of copying down the information. It doesn't sound like CHP anyway is actively trying to get anybody in place. I don't know if I can hear Monrovia, but I will continue to try to listen to Monrovia to see whether or not, you know, they're going to try to get in place. I know LAPD had previously kind of asked them to be ready to get into place, but that was only if the guy was going to come back. So it looks like he's coming maybe potentially back down, or yeah, southbound, maybe on Myrtle. I see that LAPD ship kind of coming out of the foothill now. So we'll see if we can get eyes back on him here, as he is kind of done a number going up and down the San Gabriel Valley after the San Fernando Valley. Looks like maybe Myrtle and Hillcrest now, Des. Oh, that's a police unit. Okay, so that's good. We see some black and whites trying to at least get, there he is right there. All right, so he is still blacked out. That's a unit that's coming up behind him. It's unclear how long that unit is going to be behind him, or if he's going to try to make a stop here. So we'll continue to watch that. We will join this pursuit over on CBS Channel 2 in just a couple of seconds, but this is live coverage.
No one goes to Hank's for his spreadsheets. He doesn't sell them. He does sell a darn good slice. When business slowed, Hank decided to bring back the $1 slice. He just asked Copilot in Excel to help make it work. Suddenly, Hank says, you gotta try this place kind of thing.
All right.
Hank makes the pizza.
Hey, how you doing?
Copilot handles the spreadsheets.
Enjoy.
Every business wants to grow, but no one wants the headaches that can come with it. On ShipStation.com, you can automate all your shipping needs, so you can ship 15 times more orders. Get on board with ShipStation, where shipping gets solved. Start your free trial today at ShipStation.com.
The 3 for me, only at Chili's. Still can't be beat with the big QP, fries, bottomless chips and salsa, and a bottomless drink, all for just $10.99. So if you're McDone with tiny, overpriced burgers, just come to Chili's. This Chili's 3 for me is the best $10.99 you can eat.
Morning breath is now a good thing with new Crest Pro Health mouthwash. Feel
1 minute out. We're in Duarte. Heading to the east. Yeah, he's going east. Say that again? Bradbury, yeah. But we may not get that far, he just turned. So yeah, we're still gonna be in Duarte. There, though, it is a black Ford truck, Raptor, and it's coming back as a cold. Area, so near the 5 and the 170.
Micah, and
so
watching him go into these intersections in there and jump the curb, and he's going to go westbound now on Duarte. So nowhere to go there with the arms of the train crossing there, and still, he just doesn't seem like he has any idea of where he's going.
You are watching the KTLA 5 News at 11. I'm Micah Ullman along with Cher Calvin and Gil Levis in Sky 5 watching this truck that has been stolen and is trying to evade law enforcement. This was initiated by the LAPD's Foothill Division and has moved across the San Gabriel Valley, has been since taken over by the CHP, at which point they backed off, is still being tracked by the LAPD airship overhead, and very erratic driving on surface streets tonight.
Obviously also being tracked by Gil Levis in Sky 5, and this was originally a call for a want for a cold plate, and Gil, that cold plate coming back as a Toyota, when in fact what we are watching right now, and overhead a Ford Raptor. So this blacked out car making its way through surface streets. At one point, Gil, you were saying that CHP clocking this on the 605 freeway at almost 150 miles per hour. So a dangerous pursuit, and now making its way through surface streets. Gil?
Boy, yeah, look at the speeds here, 70 miles an hour. Again, we have some weather here that's making the picture look a little hazy, but, you know, the driver, desperate to get away, blacked out, still blacked out, making it difficult for other drivers to see him, pedestrians as well. But yes, the CHP took over from the LAPD Foothill Division officers that went into pursuit. It was up in the San Fernando Valley where this started, and ended up going southbound on the 101 freeway. Here's a northbound turn across the tracks, and here's the first officer that we're seeing. He went across wrong side of the road there. You see that move? That unit is now going to pursue him now. So we'll see. We got a Monrovia. It's a Monrovia police officer that is now in pursuit of him northbound, back under the 210 freeway, back towards the foothills here again. So Monrovia PD now engaging in the pursuit. Lights and sirens, at least one unit that's behind him right now. But on California northbound through Huntington, and the driver, look at the speeds here, 70 miles an hour back into the foothills.
And we've been wondering out loud for some time how long it would take before Monrovia PD got behind this suspect. And we are just now seeing that happen. He's spent a lot of time within the Monrovia city limits here, driving up and down streets up against the foothills, back down toward the 210 freeway. And now you see moving back away from the freeway at very high speeds. And mind you, he was driving like this when there was no law enforcement behind him. Now we have a black and white with Monrovia PD lights and sirens behind this suspect. Again, cold plates coming back. A stolen truck out of the LAPD's Foothill Division has covered a lot of ground here in a relatively short amount of time across the San Gabriel Valley. And this driver almost, you know, hard to get into the mind of somebody who behaves like this, but you want to say potentially impaired the way this person is driving, particularly when they didn't have any law enforcement behind them. But running red lights, I mean, we've counted dozens of instances where this driver's gone through red lights and intersections. One situation where a pedestrian was in the crosswalk and was nearly hit. So this driver is obviously moving with reckless abandon and making every effort to get away from law enforcement, and now has just that, law enforcement on the ground behind him once again.
Yeah, it's nice to see that there's law enforcement. Gil, if you don't mind, can we take a look at what we have here? Just one unit so far pursuing this Ford Raptor.
Yeah, let me...
And going through another residential neighborhood here. Yeah, okay, go ahead. All right, so he's a little bit farther behind than, he's not really on his tail here. Okay, never mind.
Right.
Yeah, no, I see. You know, again, he's
may have
blacked
backed out of it because of speed.
Yeah. Blacked out going through these residential neighborhoods again, and it looks like he's going northbound again toward the foothills. Is that what's happening?
Let's see. This is westbound on Hillcrest, and he's blacked out. He's under a tree, and he's going to go southbound there on a small street, and that is...
Yeah. Cool, we got it. Will you speed up, George? He's right at our, like 1 o'clock. There you go. Okay, copy.
And get you back. So he's speeding up a little bit more now. We're in East Pasadena now, still on, that's Foothill and Rosemead that he's just passed westbound on Foothill. So we're going to continue to watch and see who might come in and try to take this over. Eventually you'll be into Pasadena here shortly, and maybe Pasadena PD will pick up the pursuit.
You have to know they know he's headed their way. They're all listening to this and alerting their colleagues in neighboring communities that this dangerous suspect is on the move, westbound on Foothill Boulevard into the Pasadena area, and now Sierra Madre Villa and northbound, Gil?
Northbound. Yeah, northbound, Micah, just turned, we're getting into some weather here, unfortunately. We'll try to get lower and get out of this cloud. But yeah, looks like he might have stopped or maybe U-turned. Looks like he might have, trying to follow that nice and like, he's on. Okay, there he is. He's eastbound or westbound on Sierra, and he's going to go right turn southbound back towards Foothill. So very hard to see. You can see him now. He's blacked out, very difficult in these streets here, but the airship's still keeping an eye on him, still calling the pursuit. And we'll see what he does when he gets over here to back to Foothill.
Yeah, well, hopefully at one point he decides to just give up, you know, and make life easier for everybody. But at this point, you know, he's continuing to flee and trying his best to blend into the night with his Ford Raptor and no lights. But now he's got a freeway over here, and you know, you wonder if he's going to get on that and CHP will get on him.
Yeah, that would be beneficial to see CHP pick it up if that's possible. You know, they will track at all speeds. They will stay with the vehicle at all speeds. The only reason they pulled off on the 605 southbound is because they got into a cone zone. They had Caltrans workers, and this driver decided to go right through the cone zone into where the workers were working. And CHP said, no, we're not going to follow. We're going to pull off. We don't want to risk those Caltrans workers out there on the freeway. And so he was able to get some distance between him and the CHP.
He keeps wanting to come back northbound toward the foothills. I notice he'll slow down and look up a road, doesn't like what he sees and keeps going. But the pressure for him is to get northbound, it would seem. And it's going to be more and more of a challenge as he gets into Pasadena here. He'll move then toward Altadena and the situation there. Now again, he wants to come northbound, and he makes that move up here, moving again toward the foothills in the Pasadena area. What is the motivation beyond trying to get away? What's the just a
5